Hours passed in the darkness. Tonya felt a little queasy, so she decided to rest for a few minutes. She sipped on the water reserve and double-checked her scanner. She was still above the Kerium, and it was still showing up as being in front of her. That much hadn't changed. She heard something. Very faint. She brought up the audio settings and pumped the gain on the external mics. A sea of white noise filled her ears. She didn't move until she heard it again. Something being dragged, then stopped. Infrared and night vision windows appeared in the corners of her HUD. She couldn't see anything. In the vast stretches of these tunnels, there's no telling how far that sound had travelled. Still, she went to the crate and pulled the shotgun out. She made sure it was loaded, even tried to remember the last time she had caused to use it. Tonya started moving a little more cautious. She doubted it was the prospectors. For all she knew, it could be some other pirate or smuggler down here. Regardless, she wasn't going to take any chances. The tunnel started to expand before finally giving way into a vast darkness. Tonya's night vision couldn't even see the end. She dug through her supplies and picked out some old flares. She sparked one. It was a city. A mirror city, to be precise. While the one on the surface reached for the sky, this one was carved down into the planet. Walkways connected the various structures built out of the walls on the various levels. She'd never heard of anything like this before. Everyone speculated that it was a civil war that had destroyed the system. Was this a city of the other side? She came to an intersection, and the first real sign that the fighting had spread here. A barricade of melted vehicles blocked one of the tunnels. The walls were charred from either explosions or laser blasts. A shadow had even been burned into the wall. Tonya stood in front of it. The Hadesian seemed to have a roundish, bulky main body with multiple thin appendages. 1,000-year-old stain on a wall is hardly much to go by, but even as a silhouette, it looked terrified. A cavernous structure was built into the wall nearby. Tonya approached to examine the craftsmanship. It was certainly more ornate than most of the other buildings down here. There weren't doors down here, just narrow oval portals. There was some kind of tech integrated into the sides. Tonya decided to take a look. It was a deep bowl with rows of enclosures built into the sides. All of them were angled towards a single point, a marble-like cylinder at the bottom of the bowl. Tonya descended towards it. There was a small item sitting on top. She kept her light and shotgun trained on it. It was made from a similar marble-like stone as the cylinder. Tonya looked around. Was this some kind of church? She leaned down to get a better look at the item, careful not to disturb anything. It was a small carving. It wasn't a Hadesian shape, not one she was familiar with. She weighed whether she should take it. Tonya's head suddenly swam. She stumbled back and steadied herself on the enclosures. After a moment or two, it passed. A subtle stabbing pain started to ache in her arm. She stretched it, trying to work out the ache. She took a last look at the small carving. Tonya stepped out of the ornate building and brought up her scanner. The Kerium was close. She followed the scanner's directions into the dark and twisted tunnels. Her eyes stayed locked on the growing glow of the screen. She tripped over something. The scanner clattered across the floor. It echoed for a minute. Tonya shook her head slightly. This place. She turned her light back right into the face of a rotted corpse, its mouth open in a silent scream. She yelled as she scuffled away from it. She looked around. There was another form on the floor about 20 feet away. A strong box sat between them. The initial shock subsided. Tonya got up, grabbed her scanner and walked over to the first body. Its skull had been cracked open. There was no weapon though. No club or bar nearby. That was odd. The other one had clearly shot himself. The gun was still in his hand. They were definitely human, and based on their clothes, they were probably surveyors or pirates. She didn't know what kind of elements were in the air here, so she couldn't give an accurate guess how long they'd been dead, but suspected months. She shuffled over to the strongbox and kicked it open. Kerium, already extracted and carefully wrapped. Sweet relief drifted through the exhaustion. Thanks, guys. Tonya gave them a quick salute. Sorry you aren't here to share it. Something flitted across her IR window. Tonya snatched up her shotgun and aimed. It was gone. Her breathing became rapid and shallow as she waited. Her finger hovered over the trigger. She pumped the gain on the external mics again and scanned the hall. The whole time telling herself to calm down. calm down. Every movement of her suit amplified 100 times in her ears. She tracked the rifle through the tunnel, looking for whatever was in here with her. Something came through the static. Close. "Welcome home," it hissed. Tonya fired into the dark. She spun behind her. Nothing down there. She racked another round and blasted anyway. The shots blew out the speakers in her helmet. She grabbed the strongbox and ran. Ran through the slippery, sloping tunnels of pitch black, now in total silence. She passed the intersection where the Hadesian still raised its arms in terror. She kept looking back. She could swear something was there, just beyond the range of the IR, watching from the static. Tonya sprinted up a rise to see the grim, overcast light of the exit, now just a pinhole. Her legs burned. Her arms killed. All she wanted to do was to go to sleep, but she wasn't going to stop. If she stopped, she knew she would never leave. She pulled herself up the rope and pushed through the blasted forest back to the beacon. 30 seconds later, the thrusters were scorching earth. 1 minute later, she broke atmo. As Hades too drifted away, she tried to steady her nerves. Her environment suit slowly twisted on the hanger in the decontamination chamber. She noticed something. The respiratory functions on the back were damaged. The fall in the crater must have done it. It bashed up the feeds and she was getting too much oxygen. The headaches, nausea, and fatigue, even that voice. Even though it chilled her still. They were all probably just hallucinations and reactions to oxygen poisoning. Probably. Tonya set a course back for the Xenia shipping hub in Baker. She had goods to sell, true, but right now, she wanted to be around people. She wanted to be around the noise. Back in the decontamination chamber, the tiny Hadesian carving sat on the floor.
Ho ho ho! Merry Nordmus! It's Santa! No, Timmy, it's Father Nordmus. I'm legally distinct and spread NordVPN cheer. Here you go, little Tim. Have some discount on your next NordVPN purchase. Just what you wanted. Go to nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. But Santa, we don't want a VPN. I told you, Tim, it's Father Nordmus. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For December, we are giving away the Mighty Drake Corsair Explorer with a Star Citizen game package and lifetime insurance. This no-nonsense Explorer can take you and 3 friends to the limits of adventure around the verse, and although more focused on exploration and expedition, it is a great multi-role mission runner too. Comment on any of my videos during December to be in for a chance of winning that. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Please don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the videos, leave comments, and if you feel so inclined, use the join button under my videos and give a little bit each month to help the channel. It really, really does help. Or you can even become a Patreon or donate. Check out all the links below. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great time in the verse.